Good day, everyone. This is Shalene Jane B. Osena. Allow me to present my topic, which is about guides in doing the literature review. A literature review surveys books, scholarly articles, and any other resources relevant to a particular issue, area of research, or theory, and by so doing, provides a description, summary, and critical evaluation of these works in relation to the research problem being investigated. Literature reviews are designed to provide an overview of sources you have explored while researching a particular topic and to demonstrate to your readers how your research fits within a larger field of study. But aside from its definition, let us also know why is a literature review so important. Of course, it is important because of the following. For it will help us find out what is already known about the topic. Second, it will also give our reader a critical overview of what we found, a critical overview of the existing knowledge which shows how your research fits in. Third, it will also help us to find out what's missing from current knowledge so that we can contribute something original. So now that we already have an idea about the literature review, we are now ready to find out the different steps of writing a good literature review. So we have here 6 steps. Step 1 is to choose a topic. Step 2, search for relevant literature. Step 3, evaluate and select sources. Step 4, identify the themes and debates and as well as the gaps. Step 5, outline the structure. Step 6, write your literature review. So let us know more about these steps. The first step is to choose a topic to write up. So it is very important to consider the following. So first, choose a topic you are familiar with and interested in. Also, choose a topic that you are intended your readers and other searchers will find interesting and useful. And lastly, choose a topic that is current, well established in the field, and about which there has been sufficient research conducted for review. So when we already have a clearly defined topic, we are now ready to search for a relevant literature. So we are now on step 2. So in here, if you are writing the literature review section of a dissertation or research paper, you will search for literature related to your research problem and questions. But if you are writing a literature review as a standalone assignment, you will have to choose a focus and develop a central question to direct your search. So unlike a dissertation research question, these questions has to be answerable without collecting original data. You should be able to answer it based only on a review of existing publications. So aside from this one, to make the search easier, it is also important to create or to make a list of keywords. So say for instance, if our research question is, what is the impact of social media on body image among Generation Z? So we could have the following keywords. Example, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, body image, self-perception, self-esteem, mental health, Generation Z, teenagers, adolescents, youth, and so on. And if we already have those keywords, we can use them with the different databases. So we can type those keywords to some useful databases to search for journals and articles such as the following, diba? So we have University Library Catalog, PubMed, Science Direct, Google Scholar. So those are the databases that we can use. And from those databases, we can also use Boolean operators for us to narrow down our search. So we can use AND to find sources that contain more than one keyword. Example, we'll type social media and body image and Generation Z. Aside from that, we can also use OR to find sources that contain one of the range of synonyms. Example, Generation Z or teenagers or adolescents. And we can also use NOT to exclude results containing certain terms. Example, apple, not fruit. Okay, so after searching a relevant literature, we are now on step 3, wherein in here, we are to evaluate which sources are most relevant. So it is very important also to consider the following. First, read the abstract to scan whether an article is relevant or not. Also scan the bibliography to find other relevant sources. You should also pay attention to the citation count on Google Scholar. Take note, a high citation count means the articles has been influential in the field and should certainly be included in your literature review. And lastly, your review will depend on your topic and discipline. So in the sciences, you usually only review recent literature, but in the humanities, you might take a long historical perspective. So in step 4, as you read, take notes and pay attention to the connection between different sources. This way, you can organize your literature reviews, argument, and structure a lot easier. So here are some things to look for. Trends and patterns in theory, method, or results. So do certain approaches become more or less popular over time? Another is the themes. What questions or concepts recur across the literature? Also debates, conflicts, and contradictions. Where do sources disagree? The pivotal publications. Are there any influential theories or studies that change the direction of the field? And of course, the gaps. What is missing from the literature? Are there weaknesses that need to be addressed? So those are the important things to consider in this step. So you have to identify themes, debates, and gaps. For step 5, online outline your literature review structure. So there are various approaches to organize the body of a literature review. You should have a rough idea of your strategy before you start writing. So these are the 4 approaches that we can use. First, chronological, which means from older to most recent publication. So if you choose this strategy, be careful to avoid simply listing and summarizing sources in order. So try also to analyze patterns, turning points, and key debates that have shaped the direction of the field. Give your interpretation of how and why certain development occurred. Another is thematic, so organize around several key themes. So if you have found the recurring central themes, you can organize your literature review into subsections that address different aspects of the topic. For example, if you are reviewing literature about inequalities, in migrant health outcomes, key themes might include healthcare policy, language barriers, cultural attitudes, legal status, and economic access. For methodological, you can compare the different research methods being used across studies. For example, look at what results have emerged in qualitative versus quantitative research. And the theoretical, in here, you use it to discuss various theories, models, and definitions of key concepts. And for the last step, write your literature review. So like other academic texts, your literature review should have an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. So what you include in each part will depend on the objective of your literature review. So first we have introduction. The introduction should clearly establish the focus and purpose of the literature review. So if you are to write a literature review for a dissertation or a thesis, reiterate your central problem or research question and give a brief summary of a scholarly context. Also, you can emphasize the timeliness of the topic. Example, many recent studies have focused on the problem of X, or you could also highlight a gap in the literature. While there has been much research on X, few researchers have taken Y into consideration. And if you are writing a standalone literature review, so you should have or you should give some background on the topic and its importance. Discuss the scope of the literature you will review. For example, the time period of your sources, and of course, state your objective. Another part is the main body that summarizes and synthesizes the sources. So as you write, you have to follow the following tips. First, summarize and synthesize. Give an overview of the main points of each source and combine them into a coherent whole. Next, analyze and interpret. Don't just paraphrase other researchers. Add your own interpretations if possible, and discuss the significance of findings in relation to the literature as a whole. Next, critically evaluate. Mention the strengths and weaknesses of your sources. And finally, write in well-structured paragraphs. You can use transition words and topic sentences to draw connections, comparisons, and contrast. And for the conclusion, in here, you summarize the key findings you have taken from the literature and emphasize their significance. So if you are to write a literature review for dissertation, show how your research addresses gaps and contributes new knowledge. Discuss how you have drawn on existing theories and methods to build a framework for your research. And if you are to write a literature review for a standalone assignment, discuss the overall implication of the literature or make suggestion for future research based on the gaps you have identified. When you finish writing and revising your literature review, don't forget to proofread thoroughly before submitting. And that's all. Here are the references that I use. Thank you so much for listening.